10, 9,
Okay.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Idle arena
3,
Good luck
time.
with the
2,
tournament.
1.
Thanks so much, Electric Eye. So, now I'm playing title players. I don't think I've played a title player yet today. Playing Oracle. I'm gonna still play this this gambit. Opponent's not walking into anything. Could still transpose to a Stafford though. Thank you, Cowboy Cookie. Okay, idea to play G5 and G4. So I give up the bishop pair, but I do have ideas of knight d4. Rook g8, get the kingside attack. Like already there's some nagging pressure. Ooh. I may have missed that move. If I take, there's takes. E8. Good move. I thought it was much better, but I might just be much worse. Or it still just might be interesting. Takes, and now let's take with pawn. Yeah, actually, it's still interesting. Move. Because this pin is really hard for white to resolve. Might see c3. Ah, white resolved the pin. Well played. Mm. In h4. Gotta try it. Three's probably coming. F3, bishop d7. Life does go on. EQ bombs. Do the bomb. I'm only down 2 pawns. This bishop's really annoying. Just pierces through the position. But it doesn't really help defend the kingside. I mean, it could, though. Along with the queen. Okay. Rook e8. Rook e4 is probably coming. Some idea on f6. Rook h4, I take it. And the plan is h5, h4. Hmm. Okay. Intention. India rook h7. Now I'm threatening to take in rook h2, but not really. I think maybe queen c1. The rook is stuck now, kinda. Yeah, this shouldn't be so bad. About to get mated there. Okay, dirty time scramble. I mean, we were both trying to dirty flag each other, but only one person can dirty flag the other person. Multiple rooks were hung. I don't feel so great about that. Thankfully, I have facial cleansing towelettes, which have been sitting on my desk for a while and I forgot about. They're for normal skin. Maybe I'll use them later. Wash away the dirtiness. Okay, a win is a win. E5 so soon. Yeah, this is some kind of unpleasant line. I think I take. Probably d3. I'm gonna lose a pawn eventually, so try and get the most for it. Okay, very positional game. Good move. Don't fully know what to do here. It doesn't look great, but I'm doing this. I'm not better here, but I don't know how much worse I am. The king's a bit more active. H4. Some counterplay. I'm down a lot of time, but I think it was worth spending that time to at least get some chances. I'm just down the pawn. Draw. I should have taken with rook. Hmm. And this should be a draw. White's rook is really misplaced. Okay. That was really kind of the opponent. Oh, what a good human person. Okay. I was expecting to get dirty flag there. Berserk. Was that just a second game? That was a second game. Oh, is my opponent streaming too? Shout out to my opponent. Everyone follow their Twitch channel. Okay. I'll be very conscious of time here. Point of a3 is to maybe put the bishop on a2, target the pawn. Now block's building up nicely. That's a free pawn, I think. So hitting the knight twice. Probably trade rooks. Queen b6 in the end. I think I can play queen e2. Keep things defended if queen b6. Because there's no like great discoveries. There's this or this, but I move the queen again. f4 is a bit weak. Again, I think it's okay. Oh, it's not okay. Okay, maybe it's okay. I think knight c3 was better there. Back. F7's attacked. Another one of these endgames.
How the time flies.
Yeah, my time is flying away right now. Welcome back to Betazep. Subbing for 5 months. Yeah, there's some mating idea. Oops. Okay, I gotta go for the mating idea. Does black defend? I think there's one way to defend. That's another way. I was thinking f6. I think f6 was maybe a little bit stronger. I can win the pawn first. Wasn't expecting black to take on g3. Okay, plenty of time here. No stalemate. Okay. Undefeated. Got 2 and then 1 and then 3. No sign of Carlsen. I don't think. I don't feel like berserking. Does that make me a bad person? I'm just trying to like not wear myself out too much. I think this is okay. Hmm. Ooh. Yeah, this is a really pleasant structure. Allowed knight d4 though. Mm-hmm. Go for b4. Queen should be elsewhere. Wow. Okay, actually queen should be here. Have the A file now. Takes. Close to working.
If I give you a prime sub, do you get a better sandwich than if I gave a regular sub?
Depends on the toppings. Problem is b5 is weak in these lines. I think I'll just go for this. Win connect 4 maybe. Oh, I blundered a pawn. What to do? Oh, this is about to crumble. I should come to d5. This is really bad. Wait, what? I'm not sure what my opponent was expecting there. Okay, that works out. Unexpected gift of a rook. I was about to like lose when not berserking. Like lose having time odds. I'm tied with Jigalko.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mouselip or just a misjudged pre-move. Maybe my opponent was expecting something else.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, thank you. Hey, it's Pam. Welcome back, Pam. Pam, I'm sure you're aware. I'm sure I mentioned this when you were here previously, but there's a Pam emote. All the subs can use. The move order is important in this line because wait, 97. 7. There's a line with knight c6. Might be similar though. Oh, castling. Yeah, it's a weird position. A lot of tension. Lots of mess in the center. Yeah, the idea is to eventually win a pawn. I think I can take here. I'll hit the bishop in the end. Like takes, and both things are hanging. I'll be up a pawn. There is this move, and then rook d4. Oh, that's why Pam said thank you. Oh, that's nice. Okay, emote only mode for this game. Because why not? Usually it's a viewer redeeming emote only mode, but I can redeem it too. Hey, I'm back over 2,600. I didn't even realize. I guess it does help not to lose any games in a while. Okay, so that was all expected. Rook d8, rook d4. Rook c8 would depend. Oh, there's e5. I have this move. King f3, put the rook on e2. Assuming there's some invasion. That's a good move. Rook c8's coming. It gets weird. I'm preparing b4, but my rook is a little bit in over its head. Gone a little bit deep. a6 is a good move. Now, maybe I can get away with this still. It's really materialistic. Ideas to the rook back somewhere. It's super passive. Black should have played rook d8 there. Passive, but also active. Rook d8, maybe this move. Right moment, I want to play c6 and trade. Hmm. Not sure what my plan is. Or I had to prevent this and this, and now I over-defend this, so maybe my rook can free itself, but maybe not. With c4. And c4 is probably the way to go. I'll lose back a pawn, but we at least got a game. Yeah, point is to play a3 and keep things together. It's a good move. Have to play this. But I can't trade rooks. I win the king pawn ending, I think. Or do I? Confusing position. That was probably a mouse slip, but black was low on time. That was a cool game. Interesting rook ending. That emote only mode lasted a while there. Okay. Again, I don't feel like berserking. I don't want to like disturb my rhythm. And last time my opponent berserked and I didn't berserk, I almost lost, but I enjoy having a little bit of time to think. .95 here. Okay. I looked at this line briefly recently. This move. Just trap the bishop. Bishop g6, h5. It's already getting weird. Bishop. Looks interesting. Couple pawns are potentially vulnerable. f3 could be a threat.
Let's go.
I have two sets of adjacent double pawns. Let's go. f3. The thing is, after takes, I hit the rook and the knight's still hanging. Now knight's attacked so many times. Or inside castling is a move. It's super risky. Let's try it. Triple pawns. Next to double pawns. Look at this. Upside down T. Wow. I have e7 here. This is such a crazy position. I still have triple pawns. Social distancing. Rook d7, I take the rook. Oh, I didn't see that move. Am I losing? Oh no, that move kills all my fun. Oh no, my fun. I might just be losing here. I have to take the rook. Or still some hope. Oh no. Don't hurt me. Stop hurting me. Don't do it. I kind of smell it coming. I'm already set up in decent position. Wait for it, wait for it. Do other people smell it too? Smelling it from a distance. The smell was very strong there. It was such a funny game. I don't know if I get any Rosen trophies for the pawn structure, but I get something for the stalemate trick. Yeah, shout out to the Clips channel. If you're watching in the future on the Clips channel, you can also watch live on Twitch. That game was so funny. There was quadruple pawn potential. There was also quintuple pawn potential. Because I had triple pawns with 2 pawns on both neighboring files. It's just such a bizarre structure. Okay. New game. So I'm playing this new gambit, which I'll talk about a little bit later. It's very similar to Stafford Gambit, but there's some slight differences. Okay, so now we're just transposing to Stafford. And white falls for one of the most basic traps. Bishop e3 is really the only move, and then I win back the pawn. Queen f3, bishop d4. I should know what to do here. Probably queen g5. Bishop g4. Play h5 here. Not sure if I'm winning anything though. And generally it's just a nice position, but I wonder if I can take. Take on e2. If queen e2, bishop h2. So king, okay. There was king e2, but the point is if rook takes, I have queen g3 check. Meanwhile, I just want to play bishop g3 check. Knight f2 expected. Still bishop g3.
"22 months. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Much love. Was wondering what your favorite genre of show or book is."
Non-fiction actually. Documentary. I'm just counting. Queen f7, I should have enough counterplay. Oh, it's getting some play though. This first. So queen f7, rook f8. I also have this move to attack both pawns. There's knight c4 in that line. Queen f5, I don't think I mind. We're probably getting some endgame again. Not so simple. Yeah, I'm probably not better here. I don't think I'm much worse, but I am losing a pawn in g3. I want to invade from behind. Rook f6, I do have king e7. Usually makes sense to grab space. Go for some small positional gain. Oh. Yeah, it's about to get weird. Young children, close your eyes.
Almost 2 years, wow.
Opposition. I'm not threatening mates, but to do this. Okay, I do have mating ideas. And I'm sacking pawns, going for a mating attack and a rook ending. Yeah, that didn't work at all. Okay. I'm in trouble. I'm kind of smelling it again, though. The smell of stalemate is so strong. Wait, I'm not even worse, am I? I am. Hmm. No, I'm not stalemating. White made 2 queens. Okay, that's my first loss. What to do? That's sad too, because the opening was so good. I did try. No berserking. I want to stay above 2600. For at least a little bit longer. And win in 5 moves. So even if I berserked, I would not have gotten extra points. Because the game needs to be at least 10 moves long, I think. I've beaten so many people with that. This queen f3 move. Because so many people pre-move bishop e7. Okay. Moving on. It's a nice way to recover after losing a tough game. So win in 5 moves. c5 is a little bit too early, because now black has to play knight a6. And I'll get some structure with c3 and a4. VT student and Jamie Lemlem, 2 new Prime subs. Yeah, friendly reminder, if you have Prime, you can sub for free. It does help support the channel. You have the Prime command. I mean, white's slightly better here, but it's not like a huge advantage. Just a bit more pleasant. And knight c7 can't be played because takes and tactics happen. Probably time to castle. Okay, so this is a threat. Rook. And this is also kind of a target, but be defended. Ooh, forgot about the pawn. I could win a7 actually. Lose c3. I'm also forgetting about this pawn. Knight d3. This is actually not so good. I should have been a little bit more alert there. I mean, thankfully I didn't blunder f2. Like sometimes when you blunder, it can be very easy to downward spiral. Can I have f3 and bishop d6? Comeback time. Queen here, knight e5 first. Don't want to take the rook too soon. Yeah, no need to take the rook. Just infiltrating with all the minors. Take on b7 now. This rook's trapped, this knight is also kind of trapped. The queen might be trapped too. Trap all of black's pieces in black's own territory. Knight b8 loses a rook. Yeah, like everything's crumbling here. Wow, 1, 2, 3. A lot of attackers against the queen. Oh, this was so bedazzling. I wasn't sure what to take the queen with. All right. So that was some nice recovery. Couple London wins. Okay. Wow, provisional rating. Really new title player. Okay, another London. Queen c7, it's a pawn sack. This line is still a little bit tricky though. I'm supposed to play e4 here. Maybe queen e2. Idea to play e4. Black plays e4. Find a way to cope. And there's d4 here. Not so simple. See some like knight. Take on c6. There's queen c4 actually. It allows bishop e6 and we maybe repeat. Maybe queen a4 in that line. The queen is useful, covering a lot of pawn targets. Okay. So this is possible because b4 takes e3 for that first. I'm probably a little bit worse here. Not the end of the world, just castle. Life goes on. Down a lot of time. Idea is to bring the knight to e3 because these squares are juicy. This is okay. I mean, there's knight e4. e4 should be fine. It is kind of scary though. I mean, g6 is natural. I'm down a minute. I have a lot of supporters on f5. Same time I blunder a pawn. I can't trade queens here. Takes. Doesn't work at all. Or does it? Maybe it does. Not pretty though. Getting completely outplayed this game. Maybe hanging? Good move. It's so unpleasant, man. Rook e5 in the end too. There goes my king. Okay. Oh, that was brutal. Black played a good game there. Just played quickly, put me under pressure. What to do?
When can we see the extra footage from the Hikaru/Hansen fight?
Oh, I don't think I'll be posting anything to the extra channel. Okay, playing Habib Amini. Play knight f6. I had this earlier. I had the same opponent earlier. Played some a6 move. No, it was the warm-up arena earlier and a similar position. Knight e5 I take and knight d7. I had the same structure earlier. Ah, that was a game where my opponent like mouse slipped some rook a1. Pre-move rook a1. Okay, going for minority attack. So usually when it's 2-on-3, the minority attack is used to induce some weakness in the majority structure. Like b4 is a nice way of trying to undermine everything. I do have to be careful of getting mated. I do have knight f8 if needed. b3 is pretty standard. So preventing white from playing b3 and essentially isolating the a-pawn. There's knight d4 here. Doesn't quite work. Liking this move. Idea knight c4. I still have to be careful. What has ideas, but I wouldn't mind trading rooks. Trade or not to trade. To think or not to think. Okay, so b2 is vulnerable. Back rank, there could be some issues for white. a4 is also a bit weak. h5 might be coming, but then I just take. There's no way to defend the pawn. And if my rook can infiltrate, life will be good. b3 is hanging. I might just take on b2 first. We trade knight c4. Endgame. Rook a3, knight c5, I'm winning the pawn. Oh no, rook a3, I win the rook. In this case, I win the pawn. But still, knight g5 ideas. Looks okay. Rook b7, rook f8. Just can't let the bishop come around. Winning the rook. I'm completely restricting the bishop. It's a weird thing to get out of, though. This move. Just to try and trade knights. Also threatening this, maybe. I don't think that's a threat, but... d4. I'm losing back the pawn, but it's a more pleasant position for black. Wait, knight f2 just wins. I saw this from a distance, and I thought I'm just losing the pawn, but I'm winning the rook. Or after takes, black, white can't stop the pawn, which is crazy because the rook and king are in such close proximity. But the pawn would cover e1. This pawn's in the way of the rook, and this pawn's in the way of the king. That was nice. Okay. Back on track. Top 60. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges with these sort of tournaments is just staying focused all throughout, but so far I feel in decent form. Try and keep doing what I'm doing. So here we have some like Philidor. 6. Play positionally here. A little bit passive for black. Queen d2, rook d1. Nothing too special for white, just trying to put pieces on good squares. At some point, maybe knight f5 or knight d5. Potential ideas. With queen too. With queen. Roll the center. So there's f4. One idea of f4 is to drop the bishop back to reinforce the pawn. And black plays bishop f8. And also eventually play e5. Also this idea. Even to go all the way, the pawn to g6. F-pawn is pinned. It leaves the king a little bit loose. There's no need to do it right away. Oh no, my pawn. F takes, never mind. It'd be bishop f7 in the end. I want to play e5 here. I'll just take in this. e4 takes d5 and move back. Might be a bishop. Bishop h4, knight d7. Beginning to look shaky for black. Cool idea. Knight g7, knight b5 takes and queen. Anything wrong with it? I would hit the bishop and threaten some like full force mates. That's a move. Oh, the e-pawn's hanging. Yeah, maybe got a little bit too fancy there. Still a good position, I think. 95. There's like b4, b5. Not threatening to take, so rook 3. Do some lifting. My queen's tied down to defending the bishop. It's tied down to defending the pawn. I might play this and then like king's stuck on the g file. Now knight d5. Knight d5 allows bishop e5. Really close to working. I think I'll just go for it. After bishop e5, knight f6 check. If king h8, take on f7. If takes, rook here, bishop here, queen d4. It looks really good for white. Let's do this anyway. Tactics time. Because most of black's pieces are not helping defend the king. Most of my pieces are ready to destroy the king. Some defensive resources maybe, but maybe not. King here, takes, it's mating. Ah, that loses the rook. Almost clever though. Okay, feel good game. I'm gonna take a small break. Okay, 2 hours left. Thank you, Princess Lisa Bra. Helping with Prime. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. So there's less chat interaction this stream, but I hope people are enjoying the games. Playing Paradox. Okay. Afterwards, I'll explain the backstory of this gambit. But so far, there's been a lot of transpositions to Stafford. Your d5. Or there's also bishop g4, which looks nicer even. This pawn's a bit overextended. I am down a pawn, but white's already under pressure, kind of. A decent move. Is that playable? That is a move. I can take. He takes. Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable actually. I have 6 ideas. This bishop is stuck along with a knight. Like these 2 pawns restrict essentially all of my pieces. All my queenside pieces. That's a good move. I take. Actually, I can take twice. I might as well go for this. Some pressure against f2. This is really, really dubious, but what else to do? The king doesn't have like a great square. There's d2 maybe. The queen h5's coming. Knight f5. Knight g6. There's some issues with knight g6. Doing c5. Because queen h5, I do have g6. And the king and bishop might be fighting for this square. There's cases where I play like c4. Now d4. Or king c4. Might do it anyway though. Do it. Play quicker. And now these squares are accessible. I'm down a piece, and not even for a pawn, but the king is kind of hilarious. He's going to hide on b1 now. Take this way first. Idea rook f2. This move looks so much more attractive to take a pawn with check, but I have to think long term. All the pieces want to get involved, not just the knight. Okay, definitely feels like there's a lot of compensation now. Queen f6 coming. I want to enter this diagonal. Annoying move. I can take though. Now the rook returns. H4. B7 is hanging, but that's the least of my worries. Time scramble time. Down a piece, but trying to make do. Oh, just happened there. Oh! Hey! Oh, good game though. I should not have given away the rook. I had like a second left though. Good game. That was a fun one. Got some compensation.
Hey Eric, thank you for the great streams.
Oh,
If
thank
you
you.
ever get the chance, you should check out a game called Wordament on mobile. It's basically competitive Boggle.
Oh, that actually sounds fun. On mobile. I wonder if I could stream it. So what is this line? This move is coming. I don't want to be passive here. Okay, let's be active. Yeah, it's probably already an opening success for white. Bishop b5, bishop d7. Be a queen f5. I want to put the queen on g6. Have some attack. Okay, this is some plan. It might work. I do defend the pawn. Super risky. Also some idea knight e5. And the point of this move is to just make white think. The idea might be also this. Eventually this. Okay, en passant. Making progress here. It feels like the attack is working. Got my bishops. Queen e7. Controlling all these squares. If takes, takes. I guess we'll see what happens. Pawn is going to probably come to g3, but maybe also this idea. If this, I do have queen e5 as well. Even f6. A lot of moves to choose from. Okay, g3. Knight f5 I take and mate. Knight's kind of stuck. I mean, knight could return. I'll be down a piece, but still a lot of pressure on white. How to handle this? Bishop f5. Idea bishop e4, remove the knight, and then mate. I can just... Oh, no, I can't. Interesting move. How do I get my queen over? Five? Idea f4. Or rook f6. Very tense game. Takes and this. Knight is actually kind of trapped here. There is this move. 5. 4. I'm getting funny pawns. They're so funny. There's a funny mating idea too. Doesn't work though. Okay. Man, I almost stumbled there. Really almost stumbled. That was a funny position. I was really, like, close to mating, but not quite. I don't think. Okay, 77. Calm down. Yeah, this is a slightly slower line than usual. Probably go for C4. 24 ideas. An A6, I don't think I can actually take. I really want to sack the queen here. How bad or how good is it? It's not good. Let's not do it. I'm not so tilted yet to sack the queen in such ways. That's a good move though. Huh. Yeah, Black's playing well. I probably want to play E4 if I get the chance. Interesting. I'm gonna just try and chill here. Takes. Thank you, curious.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's also not get hurt. That's really scary. Don't hurt me. Bishop D5, I take it. Black is really trying to hurt me here. I could take the knight and bail out. And this is either a really strong pawn. It's really strong or really weak. And we're about to find out. And there's bishop a. Yeah. That is it. 6. I have to play this move. Very confusing position. If I get a chance, I probably want to play B3, queen B2. The queen's not getting hurt here. Oh, this is coming. Bishop D3. I have 3 attackers. Okay. It looks so passive, like my pieces are all just ridiculous. But there's potential energy. I still can't take the pawn. I want to play this, but I lose d4, so over defend. Okay, so now the bishop has been run off. I have 4 attackers, but Black's about to have 4 defenders, but then I have a3. Everything should be okay, I think. Like, the whole game's revolving around the c2 pawn. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I can count. One, two, three, four. Count to 4. All right, this is looking much better now. Yeah, this is a potential energy turning into kinetic energy, turning into trapping a bishop. Oh, my knight. That's still pretty good. Except not blunder anything too big. Okay, it took work, man. That was a difficult game. I felt like I was getting outplayed, but it was super double-edged. I only scored one 4-point victory this whole tournament. Vladimirovich is leading. What is this? Oh, on Draken. Draken is pretty good at chess. Playing Scarlet Dawn. London time. This line. Okay. Let's take and do this. There's d4. Might b3, queen b4 check. That's probably not anything special. I walked into some weird prep. This bishop is sad. I could play e5 soon. Roll the d4 square. And open the bishop. A weird move. 94 coming. But then g5. It's okay. Knight d4 will be threatening knight c2. Getting the bishop as well. Queen takes. The queen takes, I have bishop f5. Knight e2 in the end. So takes, knight e2, winning the knight. Otherwise, queen here I have knight c2, I think. e7's defended. I should have probably played f5, though. The same tactic, but then I'm trapping the bishop. This still looks pretty good. Anything better? Queen h5, king g7. Going in deep. 93, bishop e6. Got my gun. Maybe I should have played this move, threatening rook g3. Queen h5, I would take it. Oh, I forgot about this. I mean, I could... I think I should just draw. Wait, no, I can't even defend the rook. Oh dear. I got tricked. Actually, I could maybe still go for this. White has a choice, actually. F5 in the right moment. Not working. Hmm. Outside passer. 97, man. Still interesting, though. Takes and then push. Hmm. Well played. Still not over, though. Wow. Yeah, very well played. Just mate next move. Wow. Oh, I thought I was being tricky, but yeah, the problem is knight d8, and I can't play rook c8 because 97. Well played. Yeah, rook d1 was not a good move. King h2 is very clever. Oh, it feels bad. The up exchange in good position. That's nature of chess. Still above 2600. Approaching the halfway point. Yeah, my opponent dismantled the gun. Okay. Moving on. There's a trap. Takes, and then I win back the queen. A way more positional game here. I think this is playable, actually. Because if takes, I have f3 in the end. Always play f3. Now takes. And it's still tricky. Oh, there's funny line, queen d4. It takes, and then I'm threatening to trap the knight. I'm also threatening rook takes e4 here. Removing defender and defending my queen. So rook c8's a move. But rook c8 f3. I don't know what black does here, actually. Queen can move somewhere. This move too. No, this move I take. Black might take f3. Thinking take and then g4, but I control the c file. Yeah, knight is trapped in the center. This almost works. This takes there's check, but I take with pawn. Okay, so we play this position. Okay. Important to stay focused. Position's good, but still takes a bit of work. Bring the king in first. This pawn is backwards. And these pawns are going to be weak eventually, along with this pawn. Hitting two pawns. If takes, I take this, hitting a6 and h6. There's some rook check. Maybe you should not have allowed that, but it's still winning. I had to free the g2 square, or free everything for the bishop to control. Okay. Man. So I've had this weird pattern of like losing, winning two, losing, winning two, losing, winning two, losing, now winning one. I win two. Or three or four. I think I'm far. So this is a BUSCH-GASS gambit. This is yeah, this is okay, we're not going into anything super fun. Just an Italian. I might go for this plan. Knight g8 f5. So if takes, there's some bishop tactics. Am I in trouble? I do have knight h6. The queen h5 almost hurts me. I think I'm okay. It's scary though. I think I would like to push. There's some pressure against f2 from a distance. Now this is some idea. Harass a queen. Like a weird standstill here. I have this move. Controlling some key squares, threatening to trap the bishop. Maybe rook b8 first. Do this first. That blunders a queen. Wow. How long is... No, I have rook f7 though. Wait. Takes. I should play this first. Like if this, I take with rook, so I haven't been blundering a queen. We might end up trading queens though. The idea is to eventually play bishop h5 and probably g5, g4. Also threatening this random move. Doesn't quite trap the knight though. Rook d1, bishop h5 wins material. F pawn is pinned. Logical. Probably want to play bishop f7. Combined with b5. Knight's a bit out of play, but I think it's okay. This move now. f2 is still a target. Clever move. Takes. Wow. Well played. My rook is trapped? What? Shaw? Como? Also color bishops though, so still some fight. I go for a mate somehow. Don't mate me though. Okay. I was close to winning though. I was close to winning on time. I like how white employed the staircase maneuver with the queen. Like the queen just walked up all the stairs. to mate me. Or not, to stalemate me. Staircase to stalemate. That was so funny. Okay. Well, that was a draw, so my weird pattern of wins and losses comes to an end. Used to be ice water. Now it's just water. Playing cable box. Had a similar structure earlier. Maybe a little bit different. Very positional though. Earlier I was able to trap the knight on e4. A nice game. This time, knight e4, probably rook d1. Get the pin. There's also knight d7. I think f4 makes sense. Move I probably play eventually. f5 ideas. Knight c5 is playable here. I mean, f5 is very close to happening. There's some knight e4. It's gonna get spicy.
It's our subiversary.
Hey, happy subiversary, Margadonk. I take, there's rook b8. Maybe this move. I don't mind the queen trade, especially if my knight can get into d6. I might be losing a pawn, actually, yeah. And now it's time to just attack. Queen e2 and shift everything over. King f6. Looks good. Now queen. Queen wants to enter. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. h6 coming. Still be okay. I'm just sacrificing the whole queen side. Rook c4 is an idea. Hmm. I'm gonna go in this way. Just want to target f7. My queen might go back, my rook might come to h4. There's this move. Take the knight. And taking the knight actually looks really nice. Easier position to play now. It's still tricky. There's some funny lines. So if takes, I take with the queen. Wait, no, that doesn't work at all. Okay. Work. It's so funny if it works. Know if it works? Let's try it. Takes, I take. Takes and then takes. Because there's king e8, knight h6. G8, I just take on a3, knight d6. Yeah, black probably saw it and was just scared. But queen h6, I take and take. Okay, now it's back to being very safe.
Looks like I joined just in time for tactics.
Yeah, I still have to convert though, with the time situation. Okay. Yeah, that was some there's some fun tactical lines there. It's fun having a knight on d6. Queen on e4. Okay. Raising the rating. Still top 100. Thank you, dear Underhandler. Welcome back. Thank you, ThinkBox. Helping for 9 months. Oh, thanks, Mad Arcadonk. I think I called you Markadonk, but appreciate the sub for 1 year. Playing Matlakov. I'm not berserking, and I'm not feeling bad about it. Interesting. B4. The problem is this knight g5 tactic. Could take and just try and be solid. Interesting. That's a funny line. Attack c6, maybe win c2. Maybe not. Maybe win h4 though. There's g5 in the end. I can play this. Okay. And this looks playable. Getting the thing. Am I just losing after takes? Oh no. It still looks interesting, but queen takes was less expected. Take on a3 now. I have time to think, but I might just be lost. Takes. Really not what I want. It's interesting though. Oh, I'm not even drawing. I forgot there's perpetual. Oh, it's so sad. Okay. The king's still cut off. Oh. There goes my rook. Oh, what to do? Is there any hope? A risky line to enter. Wait, taking on f2 is bad. Engine doesn't understand though. Or does it? Oh, it does. So it's still fine. Oh, I'm actually better here. Oh, I didn't even consider this move. This is so obvious looking at it. I don't know why I missed that. Huh. What to do? Thank you, Eatrat. Yeah, I was so confused by the position. It took time there too. It's still top 100. Bortnik up there. Thank you guys all. Oh yeah, the backwards Magnus Carlsen is playing. Nestle Rock. Sungam. No berserking. No queen trade. There is some threat of knight. Not sure if I can make it work though. Be patient. Long knight h5. The structure is not great for black because dark squares are weak, and black only has light squared bishop. Looks like I'm getting in h5. Yeah, if takes and castling, I can take on d5. I think black was maybe expecting this, but yeah, simple tactics. I'm also hitting this pawn. So this is a pork. Not over though. Okay, I can play knight f6. And then it should be pretty decisive. Okay. Just simple chess. Up 2 pawns. The structure is not ideal, but it's okay. Hmm. Weird tension. Entirely sure what to do here. I think this is okay. Really? I'm overthinking everything, but it should still be winning. After the b5 pawn. Oi! I'm so sad now. Oh, I could have been so happy. Oh, that's so sad. That's why you don't resign. Oh, such a bad move. What to do? Thank you, Gabriel Valente. Ah, yeah, I was playing too like cautiously there. Then made a really bad move. It's the nature of a long tournament. Just have to try and minimize those types of blunders. A blunder goat is proud of me. Yeah, I'm competing for blunder goat's title. Okay, what to do? I've been sticking with the same repertoire and getting decent positions. H6. H6 is slightly mysterious. We've transposed into something where h6 is a useful move. Trying to neutralize h-file. d4 doesn't work as knight b3. Knight g4 is interesting. Maybe still knight b3. I might go for e5. And then some knight d4. Also some idea of rook h4. There was some Carlsen game at some point he played this move. I mean, e5 is scary though. It's hard to stop. Okay, what to do? The other knight move. No. I don't know what to do here. Play c4. c4 looks so wrong. But it's an attempt of discouraging e5. Especially if I can get the bishop to c4. The queen b4, queen d2. Now I think I'll take and castle. Kingside. Rook d8, queen d2. And black's probably doing fine, but I'm staying alive. What matters. Intention. Takes, rook b1, queen b7. And if takes there, I could consider taking with a pawn. Okay. E1 doesn't work. Not a great way of treating this, but it's a safe way. Pawns are going to roll soon. Bishop g6 hangs a bishop. Hitting the pawn. Bishop there. E5 now. It's still very interesting. F4. Bishop wants to come here. This looks winning. Maybe it's not, though? What was Black thinking about? And I have 6, I have queen f8, bishop d3, g6, queen f7, and this should be winning. I think it's actually force mate. Okay. Wasn't easy. I think I was in trouble at some point in that game. At some point got initiative, though. Accidental exchange sacrifice. Thank you, Xerabri. New Prime sub. Okay, the goal is top 100. Hour to go. Try and finish the last hour strong. Do 8 counts. 19 months. I'm tempted to berserk. Haven't berserked in a while. And now we have this, the BUSCH-GASS GAMBIT. Still offering a Stafford. Okay. And knight d3 is interesting. Objectively, it's not so good for black, but we'll still try and have some fun here. Okay. Any way to have fun? I'm allowing the trade, but threatening this and this. Okay, now we're having fun. Lots of fun. So much fun. Yeah, that worked out. A knight did a whole tour that game. Where'd that knight start from? Oh, it started from here. Okay. Yeah, the wild knight. It was not domesticated. Okay, got the berserk win. Top 90. Optimistic goal is top 50. Within range, like if I get some kind of streak. Okay, let's try the same thing. Okay, still offering the same pawn. Deja vu. Deja vu. Okay, slightly different this game. I had someone fall into the same trap earlier, and I ended up losing. try and redeem myself this game. Earlier, my opponent played knight d1, played some queen g5. Just loses exchange. Rook d2, I skewer, and if king b1, I skewer. Now there's queen g3, but then bishop e5. Oh, I also have takes, queen b5 and takes. Go for this. Looks more fun. So these two pawns are hanging. And I have queen b1. I'll go ahead and castle queenside. After takes, I check, take, and defend the pawn. And then bishop e2 in that line, I have rook g8, rook g2. e4 might be played, but then queen a5 check. Meanwhile, I have a passed pawn. So that's a move. Bishop h3 on tap. I think I'll just play this. I mean, I do align with the king, but I'm threatening this due to the pin. That helps. Always have to watch out for like weird tactics, but I just recapture with rook. Bishop h3 is likely. Resigning also maybe possible. Let's not celebrate too early here. Realize. Yeah, I'm up a pretty clean exchange. A pawn will roll. Maybe rock for the rook trade. Yeah, so if takes, I think queen g5. Up over a minute. This move looks nice. Threatening mate in one and threatening this. Okay. That was nice. Number 70. Oh, why do you prefer d4 over e4? I play e4 a lot, but this tournament I'm sticking with London. Especially in Blitz, it's nice when I can play into a repertoire that I'm very familiar with. I'm capable of playing e4, and yeah, I'll play it a lot on stream. Okay, so taking, if takes rook here, threatening bishop c7. Black really wants to play this, or that's this move. Attack the pawn. Wait. Not so simple. We trade everything. Yeah, let's trade everything. I have 3 in the end. Rooks come in. This is actually a tempting move. I'm curious what black will play against it. This takes. Oh, c6 isn't hanging in that line, though. I can take on a6. Rook EV, queen d7. So c4 is hanging, c6 is weak. d2 is hanging, a2 is weak. If I can win c6, then the knight's undefended. Queen g4. So it's still equal material. But black has two weaknesses. I just take. Interesting. Take. Okay, 4 on 3. Good knight for each person. Be aggressive. Rook d1, king h2. I probably want to trade rooks. And then try and trade knights eventually. Objectively, it's probably a draw, but I'll try and grind it down. You can start walking. Maybe not too far, though. Never mind. I have to walk the king to h2 and then play g3. Never mind. Man, I feel so claustrophobic right now. Oh, that's threefold. Okay. I guess I can't complain. Yeah, it's hard to actually get out of this bind. Maybe I should not have, like, had that structure. Maybe play g3 sooner. Ideally, I'd like to try and, like, the fight for longer, but what to do? Good game. Okay, top 70, 42 points. Playing Zurability. Fellow streamer, I think. Playing a Knights Tango. First Knights Tango of the stream. Some idea knight g4 or knight h5 f5. Even knight d7 and b4 to do this. C6 might also be a move. And maybe c5 was more called for. I don't know what to do here, actually. d7, just try and chill for a moment. My rook should be on f8, knight should be on e8. And then f5, f4. I mean, c5 might be coming. c5, I might just ignore it. Go for my own plans. Ugh. It's not pretty. e5, bishop e6. Yeah, positionally, it's pretty rough. Still not have not yet played f5. The time is okay. My queen doesn't have a great spot to go. I'll try this. Okay, so takes. I think I have to. Bishop's going to land on c5. Then maybe I take on e4. Yeah. Scary move. Okay, how do I not lose immediately? Takes and queen c8. Knight d4. I got a sacked exchange. Just go full throttle on the king side. Bishop c4 is coming though. King h8 is not a move I want to spend time on. What else to do? Some hope, maybe. 6, f3. I have no time. What happened to all my time? Good move. Oh, it's kind of sad. Oh, I got mated. Good game. That was a rough one. Yeah, I didn't choose the right plan in the early middle game. Okay, life goes on. 40 minutes left. Different opening. No Knights Tango. We have a Queen's Gambit declined. Hey, it's Stephen Gray.
Hello Eric. What is this about Lichess World Championship?
Yeah, it's a champion of the world on Lichess. It happens every month. There's a whole Lichess blog post about it. It was like half joking, but also kind of half serious. Queen f4 is a typical idea. Kind of chill in front of white's face. Maybe allowing this and then queen c7. Wow. I mean, there's a funny line. I think I'm going to go for this. If takes, then I have to decide. I think it's okay. Queen h7 I don't think hurts me. It just gets weird. The king will go to e7. Oh, maybe it does hurt me. Ouch. Yeah, I'm getting hurt. There's no reason to do that. Actually, I have bishop d4 though. Maybe it's still okay. I was thinking king e7 takes, I lose a pawn, but this still looks playable. Bishop defends the pawn. I can't... I mean, can I play e5? Maybe I can. e5, rook f3. Spending too much time here. Yeah, this move. Delayed bong cloud, threatening to trap the queen. The bishop still defends. The tactics almost work. Actually, do they work? Take on f2 first. If takes, a knight defends the rook, but if I take first, I think it works. I can remove this. That was a funny line. Long cloud worked out. Not sure what white's considering here. Maybe just crying about losing material. Still takes work though. f5. I'll win the pawn.
Eric was born ready. Richard Ratey was born Ratey.
Haha. Oh. Yeah, a lot of people like refer to Richard Ratey as Reddy, but Ratey is I think the better pronunciation. Let's defend. I gotta watch my time actually. Oh, and my rooks. Lock the king in. That didn't work. Oh no. Push the c-pawn. Everything's covered on the 6th rank. It should be winning still. Okay, pushing P. Plenty of time here. I'm not proud of getting fort, but I am proud of just about converting this position. So I built the bridge. Time for mating. It's mating season. Okay. Yeah, I always have to stay focused. Interesting. Huh.
I also found an online TTS simulator, so I can try my
Oh,
lines before I
nice.
send. No more poo 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 poker face.
So, have you figured out how to say pa pa pa? uh, what did I just do? I'm just losing a pawn. Okay, it's a new type of gambit. Confuse the opponent gambit. Gotta keep my poker face. It's kind of like a Smith-Morra, except much worse. So if takes, I take. Somehow this is kind of playable. Takes. We'll see what happens. There's bishop b4. I think I should keep my Lightsford bishop. And try and use the g file. Like a g. King h7, queen b3, hitting f7. Not sure if black is sacking b6 or blundering g6. We'll take it. The pawn's pinned. And now the bishop's pinned, so I'm threatening to take here. Interesting. There's a funny line. Takes and then queen d4. Overloading the pinned piece. Okay, so now 1, 2, 3 attackers. I don't care that the pawn is staring my king in the face. Black's not surviving this. Okay, so it was worse than the Smith-Morra, but somehow worked out. Oh, actually, no, I can't celebrate too early. It's actually a good move. Wait, this is still weird. I think rook g4. This is still very weird. I'm down a piece too. Where'd my piece go? Might just be losing. I have this move though. There. I think I have to try it. No, rook g4 doesn't even work. Try this. Oh, my queen's hanging! Oh, it was worse than a Smith-Morra. How bad is it? I'm down a rook and a knight. For 2 pawns. I do have the bishop pair, though. There's some funny en passant check. En passant check? Oh. Stop it. Check. I'm so sad now again. Everything is crumbling. Ah. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I think King H7, I'm probably just losing. That's so sad. What to do? Still top 100. Still above 2600 too. Less than half hour left. Oh, Lady Gaga would be proud. My poker face. Okay. I have an even score against this opponent. Main line. There's a few moves black in play here. There's this, there's this. Bishop e7 is like a trendy move among super grandmasters. I had this earlier actually, e5. I got in trouble earlier. Maybe I'll play queen c2 this time. Eyeing the h7 pawn. Now there's b4. And it's materialistic. Queen b3. Black has center. I'm up a pawn. Probably should castle at some point before the center opens up too much. Hey, it's a pawn diamond. Got a Rosen trophy. Let's go. Okay, I'm happy now. Even if I lose a game. I kind of want to take. Takes there's knight d5. I think it's okay, because takes I just move back, and then d-pawn should be falling. Even threatening to fork the knight and pawn, but then the knight hits me. Interesting. Good move. Takes, so I kept the rook defending the a2 pawn. I have 2 attackers against d2. I might lose c5. Yeah, we're just trading. Oh, tactics time. Oh no, my pawn. This is why you should do Puzzle Rush or Puzzle Storm or read a tactics book. Now it's not over. I really can't celebrate too early. I just won the exchange, but It still takes work here. I think I'll put the rook back on d2. And there's this move too. Activate this rook. I had knight d4 as well. Maybe now knight d4. 3. Wait, I have to be really careful here. F3. I don't want to get stuck. I think I have to do this. Hmm. Oh. Rook c7, rook e7 is the plan. Anything can still happen. Fox fighting mate in 2.
I just got a queenside castles with a skewer on the queen. Link to game.
Oh, nice. Sounds pleasant. A castle skewer. Okay. Checkmate. Okay. It really takes focus to win a winning position. UGM Benjamin with a new sub. Oh, Ivy. Oh, I see your link. Okay. There's still 22 minutes left of the tournament. So if you remind me a little bit later afterwards, I'm gonna try and finish strong here. I'll berserk. Play into Vienna Gambit. Bishop B. No, bishop here and then here.
Hi.
Okay. Queen B6. Good idea. Maybe H6. H5 is a move. So this pawn's pinned, so there's no C3. I'm just trying to undermine the structure. E5 is a bit weak. 5 is now a threat. Might move somewhere. Never mind. What am I doing? Oh, I meant to play A5. Still okay. Allowing Queen E4, but then some weirdness happens. Rook c3 is now a threat. I meant to play rook c2. Mouse slipping too much. There we go. I still might win. Okay. Mouse slept a couple of times that game, but still managed. 49 points. I'm gaining a little bit of rating this tournament. Thank you to Scorpy84 for 5 months. Okay, playing Pedro Gil. Final 20 minutes.
Go Eric.
Oh, thank you, Kuba. Oh, what line do I want to enter? Let's enter the main line.
This is as close as I've gotten. Pop up up poker face.
Ah, pop, pop, pop. Oh, that's actually a clever way of approaching it. Knight c4, I think, is playable. Usually it's with the bishop on e7, but I think the same idea applies. If here I play here. I mean, it's still very much a fight. Rook e1. I control the whole third rank with this rook. Affecting this, or that. Okay. Should probably take the knight before this happens. No need to take the pawn. Knight d5 may be coming. I think the bishop is happy here, and then knight can be here. Ooh. Rook b4. Should not have allowed that, though. Rook b4. Bishop h3, rook h4. It's a weird position. It's queen for rook, bishop, 2 pawns. I take the bishop. I think I have to take on e5 first. Queen c3. h4. Preventing rook g5. I just want to trade a pair of rooks. Might end up losing a pawn or two. Bishop d5, f3. And it's hard to stop rook b8. I might win a7 in the end. If check here, here takes here. But then lose a2. All three results are still possible. Oh, e7 is hanging too. And there's this idea. Interesting. Leave some tension. Okay, quadruple fork. Queen d8. I might lose the pawn. Go for this. Very clever. And black can't take on f3 or on a4. The king wants to run away. Long bishop b3. It's still tricky though. There we go. Okay, yeah, the pawn on c6 prevents the bishop from ever controlling a8 in like 2 moves. So, okay, that was nice. It took work to win that. Cool opening idea. Wasn't entirely sure if that's actually like a good line for white. Hey, thank you, Gary. Gifting to Nickel Nick. Okay, 66. Top 50 is still within range. Playing Cable Box again. I guess I'm not berserking. Maybe I should have berserked. This line. Yeah, we played this earlier. I like the position I got earlier. And keep it very positional. I might have to play Queen d1. Well, there's an idea to play this. Maybe launch a kingside attack. Rook e3. The ideas. Small trap, Queen d6, Rook e4. Repeat once. Getting this now. I'll admit I missed that move, but it should be okay. Queen h5. It's still tricky. Black might not take the rook, actually. e6 is a move. Oh. The problem is my knight gets trapped in the end. Oh, there's a funny line. I think it's going to happen. Queen c7, Queen e7, I have knight g4. I win back material. Or do I? I missed h5. Well played. I'm going to have to go into this. Still fighting. Hmm. This isn't good. Okay, H2, I do have this. Not pleasant. Still kind of surviving. There we go. Okay. Oh, that took work to win. And I went wrong with a middle game attack, but it still worked out. Okay, trying to finish strong. Close to top 50. Playing Kingscrusher. I'll play c5. And now this. Let's play a line with rook b8. This is playable. Maybe a little bit risky, but it takes. And Kingscrusher wants to hurt me. Queen h5 may be coming. I don't think it's so bad though. Queen h5 by castle. We trade in b6. A little bit unsettling. Hmm. I don't know what to do here. I really don't know what to do. He's playing so quickly too. 5. I'll just go for this. The knight's a little bit loose. At least I got the bishop in action. At f5, I have 95. That's a really difficult position. Could be one I have f. Never mind. It's about to crumble. It's already crumbling. Small chance of hope. Wait, I just blundered a thing. Oh no. Try this. No time and pretty much no position. F3. YOLO. Okay. E2 is really close to working. Well played. Oh, I got a difficult position from the opening. Shout out to Kingscrusher. Okay, final game. Berserking all the way. Tilt no time. Hopefully not too much tilt. Interesting. Wow. Okay, idea E4. Both knights are hanging. I have this move. I want the queenside castle. Black's pieces are kind of funny. I don't know what to do. E5 is a bit loose. Now C4 is loose. Made Luft. Okay, that's the end. Pairings are closed. That was fun. I hope people enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're watching in the future on YouTube, let me know if you made it this far. Leave a timestamp in the comments with your favorite game. Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. There were 437 players total. I finished in 59th. I gained about 30 rating points. Hey, 30 rating points on the dot.